Hola amigos, bien o no, y saludos desde Medellín. Hoy el tema es simplicidad o, si tú prefieres, minimalismo. Minimalismo. Y cómo esta puede ayudarnos en nuestras oraciones, en nuestras preparaciones. So ese es el tema de hoy. So, hello again from Medellín, another splendid evening here. I think we may have escaped the rain for the moment. So the theme today is really simplicity, or if you like, minimalism, particularly in our dialogues or our speeches, those kind of preparations. This comes from some classes I've been preparing this week with one of my students who's preparing to give a presentation. So one of the things to think about with this is just because you can translate stuff into a particular way or from a particular form, perhaps in this case from Spanish into English, is it really what you want to say, or more correctly, is it sayable? When I say sayable, is it easy to say? Are the words you translated actually a good fit for your ability for pronunciation, or are these words just very hard to say? So this is something else to think about, particularly when we're trying for a more serious dialogue, something like we say, a presentation, or perhaps a longer answer to an interview question you're preparing, something like that. We could try and impress our new audience with very complicated words, lots of really long sounding technical vocabulary, but bear in mind that outside of a very few sort of specialist audiences, overly complicated words, or what we would say in English, flowery language, really, isn't well understood, surprisingly. So it's better to keep actually quite a simple vocabulary, particularly when you're speaking. If you're writing, you can use more elaborate language. But when you're speaking, even ironically, even if you're giving a talk on a technical subject, it's still better to try and use less words, and those words you're going to use in the speech or the presentation, to try and keep these as simple as possible. If nothing else, because they're much easier to say. So think about that. There is a big difference between the type of language you might be able to use when you're writing about something to show that that really is the correct word, and yes, okay, you can use a bit of poetic style if you like, but we don't often speak like that unless we're performing in some kind of Shakespearean play. Really, some of our best public speakers, if you like, don't use that complicated language. They use fairly straightforward, quite basic kind of language, really, that's very easily understood and equally is very easy to say. So think about that. It's one thing to translate, that's definitely what I want to say, but think about how you're going to actually say that, because what you've written on paper might be harder to speak than you think. That's the tip for today. Remember, there's a difference between academic writing or technical writing and actually being able to say it. So if you're going to give a speech or a presentation, think of something a bit more simple, a bit more direct, a bit easier to say. That's the idea for today. So for now, from Medellín, before I fear the rain is coming. So before the rain gets here, I shall bid you un feliz noche, and it's Cheerio for now.